We'll ask Prasenjit to speak now. Thank you. And then we'll, yeah.
Moderator of the session, fellow panelists, friends, very happy to be here at this Mind Rock Summit, which is, I'm told, happening for the first time in Calcutta. I'll also go by the broad themes that have been posed before the panelists in this session. Is the power to vote enough to ensure and secure our democratic rights? My answer is no. In fact, if you define democracy as only the right to vote every 5 years, it's a very formalist definition of democracy. And if the electorate is passive, if it does nothing, if it is not vigilant, if it is not demanding accountability within that span of 5 years, what you have is what you have in India today, a system, across party lines, I would say, a system which is rotting, which venality and corruption hitting new lows or new highs, depending upon how you want to look at it, and the economic and social problems only multiplying by the day. So I would say that if you want to have more accountable politicians, a more accountable political system, and a more empathetic political system, then you have to demand accountability, and that can be done only if there's an assertive electorate which doesn't only vote every 5 years but demand answers every day from the powers that be. Now, does universal adult suffrage make any sense when people are illiterate and not educated, etc.? I think illiteracy and the pathetic state of education in our country is a matter of shame. But the irony is that actually poor people vote. I mean, Mumbai or Delhi or even Kolkata, for instance, are supposed to be the hub of the middle class, of the more educated segment of the population. You will strangely find that the voting proportion in every election is far lower than the rural areas of India. So it is a question of irony. I think that it's a one-to-one correspondence cannot be drawn between educational attainment and democratic rights. I think the poor people have more stakes in the democratic system. That is why they come out and vote. But the point is that the solution is definitely not only in terms of assuring suffrage, that you have a right to vote, but I think in democracy is a process of continuous empowerment of the common people, of the ordinary masses. If that is not happening, if people are not feeling empowered, right, like what is happening today in our country, if they are feeling even more distant from the state, more helpless, that we can't do anything, our funds are being looted by the powers that be, corruption is on the rise, then I think that this is not at all, far from being a perfect democracy. This is an extremely problematic democracy, and something needs to be done about it. Now, what are the ways? Now, of course, in very briefly, I want to say that definitely one way, and many people are talking about it, is that you have to decentralize power. Centralization of power means more centralization leads to more corruption and, more centralization of the problems. You have to decentralize and have people say at every level, especially on questions, on issues, on decisions which affect people's lives. Now, can social media solve that problem? I think that social media has had a good impact on politics. Overall, if we see why. The first most important thing which social media has done is that for the first time there is a two-way communication. Otherwise, pre-social media days, the powers that be, the people who are in politics, they are only, they can only lecture. But now everybody knows that you have to answer questions. There will be questions thrown at you, and there is a two-way communication, which I think is very important for democracy. Because democracy means you have to hurl the powers that be from the pedestal and bring them down to the ground and ask tough questions. Because the people give them power to rule. So they are to be held accountable to the people. But to what extent? I think there Mahua made a fair point. I mean, I can quote some other figures which I have. As per the 2011 census, the internet using households, there's about 25 crore households in India, only 3% have internet access. In urban areas it is 8%, in rural areas where majority of Indians live, it is less than 1%. So how far social media, the digital divide is there. So social media obviously cannot provide the solution. You have to look at the solutions in the traditional concepts of panchayat, more vibrant panchayat systems, more vibrant municipal systems. And I will add that our democracy needs an overhaul. We have to think in terms of going beyond this 5-yearly voting system into a system of referendums, for instance. Why can't, on major issues, there can be referendum in our country? Why can't we have the right to recall? If one MP has been proven to be a thief, he's in jail, then why can't the electorate, or at least that constituency, demand that this MP should be, recalled? And these provisions exist in many countries today. Countries in Latin America have moved towards such radical experiments in democracy. I think that those are issues which we should think about. Can I, email, tweet, and SMS and, poke a political leader? Yes. I mean, what is this whole all about a politician? You can do anything with that politician within the framework of law. The point is, I think that there should be two-way communication. Now, if you want the gradation, I think email is a very good way to communicate because, it can be comprehensive, more substantive. SMS is more shortcut. Facebook and Twitter, I don't know. Shashi Tharoor ran into a lot of problems. I think this off-the-cuff remarks, trying to be clever by half sometimes gets you into problems, especially in the political area where you have to be responsible. You just can't talk nonsense. You have to be careful about what you utter. But now I come to a very important question which, I thought Mahua actually, I am not satisfied with what she said. Can I fight elections with no money in my pocket? I don't think this question is about a literal thing, that without no money in the pocket. Of course, you need some money. But what is happening in our country today? And I want to state a fact. Out of the 543 members of parliament we have today, 317 have assets worth more than 1 crore. You have 76 elected members of parliament who have serious charges of murder, rape and kidnapping. 76 MPs of parliament. This is the kind of democracy we are having, and that is why the quality of democracy is deteriorating. And I think that we have to question this. We have to question this very critically. It's not a question of whether election commission ceiling. Who cares about the election commission ceiling? Last Lok Sabha elections, there are trucks and vehicles which were sort of forfeited by the election commission with crores and crores of cash. We know how our political system has got completely vitiated by the use of money and muscle power, and for that, I think that the economic system, I don't want to get into the details of that, is responsible for that. The kind of inequalities that are growing in our society, I think we need very serious political reforms. Unless and until there is state funding of elections, unless you have institutions like the Lokpal, unless and until you have a law to prevent criminals from contesting elections, you can never change this. And we should fight. We should not become cynical about that. Now coming to finally West Bengal. Now, let me take the final question first and then come back. You'll understand why I'm saying so. Why Bengal politicians have zero tolerance to dissenting voices? I think that is the most, and as a Bengali, as a citizen of West Bengal, I feel that this is the saddest part of West Bengal's politics today. And self-critically, I was on the left, I continue to be on the left, and self-critically I would like to admit there have been very serious deficits in democratic functioning, even under the left, but I would say that the Poriborton has been for the worse. The change has been for the worse, not been for the better. And today you have a situation where one professor uploads a cartoon, one farmer asks one question to the chief minister and he's being jailed. Hello? What kind of democracy is this? Is this the change that people opted for? And look at the current debate over the panchayat elections that we are having. Panchayat elections are happening. Crores of people are going to vote. Poor farmers, agricultural workers, sharecroppers. Nobody is talking about what their issues are. Do you know 80 farmers have committed suicide in this state after this new government has come to power over the past 2 years? Nobody is talking about their issues. What is the debate? Election kab hoga? 26 ko hoga? 30 ko hoga? 2 ko hoga? 4 ko hoga? And dekho tak aayega, nahi aayega. I am saying, and I want to make this concrete criticism. This government, the current government today has no constructive agenda. It does not have any coherent developmental vision, welfare agenda. And I would say that the opposition also is not playing the constructive opposition role.
Prasenjit, I have to ask Mahua to, she wants to respond to that. So
yes.
Just let her.
Can I just wind up and then...
Sure.
Fine.
Temper,
sure. And I will say that it is basically this depoliticization that is taking place in West Bengal. The level of politics is going down. People's issues are getting marginalized. Tutu-meme politics is taking over. And it is because of this that we are having suppression of dissent, abrogation of democratic rights, and a thorough deterioration of the political standards of West Bengal. And for that, I think I'll answer the penultimate question that way. Can the left make a comeback? I think that the left must make a comeback. But for the left to make a comeback, I think the left has to learn the lessons the people have taught the left by defeating the left. It has to learn to be more democratic, and it has to listen. It has to listen to the critics. It has to listen, have the patience to listen also, not only to lecture. It has to listen. And finally, I think that it should stop doing the maneuvering and manipulations which they are as if they just want to come back to power. They are hankering for power. No. West Bengal has always stood for the left because the left stands for a transformative political agenda. Not only about coming to power, doing something for the society, changing the society for the better. If that vision can be revived, I think the left must make a comeback. Thank you very much.
All right. I promised myself I wouldn't let this become a political slugfest and turn into a cat fight on this panel. But I have to respond to that, and I'll try to do it in the most civil manner possible. I think the question, and it's the thing about left ideology, right? Even when I was 17 years old and I would read left ideology, I'd be like, yay, that's the way. It plays to the gallery, right? It plays to the gallery. It'll get a clap out of all of you, right? A lot of you here look very young, but I'm 36 years old, and I was born into a Bengal where it wasn't about cartoons. The fact that we can sit here, I think all of you are privileged today to sit here as part of this room and to think that dissent means a cartoon, to think that dissent means being in the lockup for one day. I'll tell you what dissent means, right? Dissent and intolerance of dissent means Nondigram. It means Shingur, where you have agreed with somebody to give up land and you have political cadre coming in there. You have a predetermined political plan to sit and shoot people in cold blood. That is intolerance of dissent. Intolerance of dissent is not going on TV and saying, I don't like this cartoon. I mean, please get real. A lot of us are very young, and you haven't grown up in that Bengal. We were born into a Bengal. We were economic refugees. The left made us into economic refugees. We couldn't study here beyond the point. We couldn't come back to work here. Please understand that, right? You have to understand that. We are privileged to be sitting on a forum where we even think that dissent is cartoons. Dissent is not. Dissent is shooting someone in cold blood because they don't agree with your ideology. Go to rural Bengal. Amader bari puri diyeche, amader meeder dhorshan kore diyeche. Right? If there was electronic media 15 years ago, the left would have been wiped out 15 years ago. They would have been wiped out 15 years ago. The fact that everyone knows about this and knows about the smallest controversy today, and we think it's a big deal, is because there's 24/7 lights on you. We're all under the limelight and we can see. The left didn't have that and they got away with it. So please get real, please try and understand. This may sound good and you may all clap, but go home and think about what real intolerance is and what really squishing dissent is all about. Yeah?
Okay, Prasenjit, quick point, and then Mr. Mishra has to speak.
Yeah, I mean...
Otherwise
absolutely, very quick, two quick points. Number one, I think what happened in Nandigram was unfortunate. From the left, I am from the left, I was in the CPI...
Sorry, killing people is unfortunate, but, something about a cartoon thing is terrible. I mean, let's...
Yeah, but that is the whole point. I am from the left. I am from the left. I am apologizing for Nandigram. You are defending what you did with that cartoon thing. That is the difference. Second, I just want to, and through Mohua, very good friend, nothing personal, send a message or a reminder to our Honorable Didi. Then, after 5 years of extremely violent rule between 1972 to 1977 in West Bengal, when Jyoti Basu became the chief minister, the first thing he did was to go around all the violence-ridden areas of West Bengal, giving lectures. I was a kid. I've heard this from my parents, from my senior family members, they used to go, Pramod Dasgupta and Jyoti Basu, going around lecturing, giving public addresses to everybody saying, peace shall return. Whether Congress, whether Naxal, whether CPM, everybody should come home. That is the job of an elected government. It should restore peace, it should restore normalcy. Unfortunately, that is not what the Poriborton has meant for the people of West Bengal.
I think the answer to that will be given by the people of Bengal. We've got to face the electorate. There's no running away. What the CPM didn't have was a free and fair electoral process. What we've got today, thanks to the Election Commission of India, is as close as possible to a free and fair election process. So I think every government that comes into power knows they have to face the people, and there's no running away. That is a test which you cannot run away from. So.
Okay.